Hey there everybody, and welcome to episode 121 of our 100% item guide and walkthrough for Legend of Legaia. So at last, the much awaited bonus episode where we will be tackling the optional boss of Legend of Legaia is finally here. This is an absolutely notorious and infamous boss confrontation that we will be tackling. It is known across many video games as being almost insurmountable in how you approach it because he is so challenging and so difficult. So the goal of this video is going to be to show you guys two ways that you can tackle this optional boss. So method number one is going to be a bit of a cheese and exploitative method. It's really not going to feel as satisfying, but you know, it is within the game's realms and you're not going to be technically manipulating anything, yet at the same time it's definitely not legit, so let's just leave it at that. So outside of that, there is a legit method of tackling this optional boss, and I will be showcasing that as well in this episode. So as a recap of our previous video, while I run outside of Seoul, we devoted the entirety of it to tackling the Muscle Paradise or the Muscle Domes tournament levels. We did the beginner mode, the expert mode, and the master mode. And holy fucking shit, you guys, we spent an hour and a half in that video, which blows my mind because I was thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. I suppose I just assumed it wouldn't take more than like 45 minutes, maybe max. We would be lightly tickling the ball sack of 1 hour, but oh no. It was an hour and a half long video. So kudos to those of you who made it through from start to finish. You know, regardless of whether you found any usefulness in me presenting the beginner and expert course, the master course I think is important to kind of highlight certain strategies for tackling various parts of it because it is such a challenging part of the game, even though it is optional. But the value in undertaking it is that you will find yourself with a War God icon, which is an outstanding accessory. So I won't belabor this episode by talking about the War God icon. We will just talk a bit more about it when we're ready to equip our party members with the final stuff that we'll need to tackle the final boss. But for now, let's just dive right into what steps we need to take in order to prepare ourselves for this optional boss, both the cheese method and the legit method, I guess. So the first step we want to do is take a Door of Wind and visit Octum. It's been a hot minute since we've been here, so hopefully, you know, you guys will experience that blast from the past. I really like Octum, actually. I think it's a very soothing place, and it's one of those towns that, I don't know if I talked about this when we were dealing with all of the events surrounding Octum and Underground Octum, but I think it's one of the few, maybe minus the Hunter's Spring, it's one of the few places in the game where you don't spend a whole lot of time here itself. Like, we explored it, but we mostly used like the ruins area and the underground area for the sake of the story, whereas like all of this upper level stuff was just to find hidden items and shit. So anyway, similarly to what I did once I was done in Juggernaut Elm and I ran to the Hunter's Spring for the Defender chain prior to undertaking the Muscle Domes tournaments, we want to come here to pick up an accessory. So if you talk to this guy, he says, welcome. If you want accessories, this is the place. What can I get for you today? So we want to scroll on down here and grab a Luminous Jewel. As you can see, there are a few jewels that we don't actually have, which, I mean, if you want to, just for the sake of having one of everything in your inventory, you can pick up a Mad Light, an Ebony Jewel, but the point of us coming here is to grab 2 Luminous Jewels. The description is that it increases your defense against light powers, so this is going to be critical in us undertaking the optional boss in the legit way. So grab 2 of these. If you did not follow the sequence of events that I presented throughout this walkthrough where I acquired the Light Talisman, so again, to kind of jog your memory, back after all the events with Kara and her giving us the light egg, we revisited Zalin back in Jeremy, who transformed that into a summonable talisman, the Light Talisman, so that we could access, I believe that roster's name is Horn. So if you, for whatever fucking reason, I don't know why you wouldn't have done this, but if you did not acquire the Light Talisman as I showcased, go ahead and grab 3 of these because you are going to need this light defense increase. So I'm just grabbing 2 because I do have a Light Talisman in tow. We will bid him adieu as he says, thank you, come again. And you know what? I actually could, if I really wanted to, grab some more Doors of Wind, but I think we have enough left to take us through the end of the game, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But if you have other stuff that you want to tackle, or if you're doing this in a different order, if you scroll to screen or menu number 2 in that accessory shopkeeper's shit, you can find some more Doors of Wind. So what I'm going to do as step number 2 is I'm going to take another Door of Wind and I'm going to teleport myself over to Booma. So we will witness that together. And then what I'll do, just to save us some time, because there will be some fights interspersed here, I am going to run all the way to Mount Dinny. I will bring you guys back when I am at the peak of it. Or maybe I'll bring you back when I'm outside of it. I don't know. We'll see how I feel once I get there. So I will be right back, my friends. Hey there, friends. Welcome back. So as you can see, we are near the peak of Mount Dinny. So quickly, as a recap for those of you who aren't really aware of where this is located, because it is one of those places that it's easy to kind of forget about because it was such a small amount of time that was spent here and devoted to this location. So it's kind of cool that the dev team thought to put an optional boss here just to force you to revisit it if you do want to go ahead and tackle this. So anyway, from Booma, which is where we had teleported together from Octum, you want to go a little bit westward, I would say maybe for 5 to 10 seconds, and then you will immediately go northbound. So a long time ago, there was a giant ice blockade that was there, and we couldn't access the area behind it until we completed the events of Navora Ravine. So you want to head northbound through that new area or new-ish area that had that ice blockade. You'll follow a winding path that weaves more westward, and you will eventually find yourself at the base of Mount Dinny. So it's not too hard to find, but it is just kind of easy to forget. So if you are going west from Booma and you see yourself facing Dr. Usha's research lab, you went too far west. So go back a little bit east. It is a northbound path that is between Usha's lab and between Booma. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful. I don't really know how else to explain its location to you outside of maybe just recommending that you go back to one of the episodes where we actually, went out that way and ran out that way. So first order of business, I want to make sure everyone is capped on HP. This is something that is easy to overlook. And then I'm going to take you through the equipment that I think is very critical in undertaking this. So again, this is going to be the cheese method or the easy mode that I first saw about 6, possibly 7 years ago on YouTube, actually, to be honest with you. The user's name was 8fold, as in the number 8, and then the verb fold, as in folding clothes. And I don't know for sure if 8fold is the first person to have discovered this method, or if he's just solely the first person to have put it in a video format. I have no idea, but I just want to note that he was the first source of the information for me. So with that out of the way, I'm just going to kind of combine some of what I saw on his video with some of my own rabbit flair. So let's kind of go through the motions here. Let's take a look at accessories. So for Vaughn, the first thing that is absolutely critical in you having is a speed chain, which gives you first attack, so you get the first turn in battle. We've seen that this is not 100% guaranteed, but for the most part, you should get the first turn. We're kind of counting on that. I don't know if it's like a 95% success rate, or maybe it's even 99, I don't know, but I do recall that when we were fighting Tetsu and had the speed chain equipped, there was a moment where Tetsu went first instead of Vaughn, so I have no idea what all of that was about, but nevertheless, I digress. So number 2 in Vaughn's accessory list here is the Light Talisman. I already talked to you guys about the fact that I think you should have this, but if for whatever reason you weren't following along with me throughout this walkthrough and you do not have this, you can go ahead and use a Luminous Jewel here. And then the last thing you want is a Dark Talisman, which seems kind of peculiar that you'd have a Light Talisman and a Dark Talisman on Vaughn, but trust me, this will all come back full circle. So next up, I have on both Noah and Gala. Really the notable thing here is that they each have Luminous Jewels equipped. I kind of talked to you guys about it when we were just in Octum, that you are going to want these to kind of minimize the impact of this optional boss's damage. So yeah, I think as another thing you could do, what I'm probably going to opt for Noah is to go ahead and give her the warrior icon to try to increase counterattack. I think I'll do this with Gala as well. And this isn't something that's absolutely necessary, but the optional boss will still, even in this easy mode method or cheese method or exploit, however you want to label this, method number 1, he still will attack you, and there is a chance that a party member may die. So if you want to increase the likelihood of people living, I would recommend giving them the ability to counterattack. But more than anything else, just make sure everyone has the light guard on, whether it's through the Light Talismans or the Luminous Jewels. So the last thing that you will need for this exploit is, where are you? Here it is, the Spikefish Flute. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking to you guys about this because I highlighted this back when we were doing all of the events at the watering holes. So this is an item that I purchased, and I noted at the time when we were at Booma's fishing spot that you want to go ahead and pick up one of these because it will prove to be very useful and an optional thing we will be undertaking. And this is finally that moment that I referenced so long ago. So this is an integral part of the exploit for tackling this optional boss. So if you do not have one, I would recommend you just quickly head over to Booma again, stop by that fishing spot, go ahead and do fishing for like a minute or two. I don't remember how many points it takes to purchase one of the Spikefish flutes, but you should not be fishing for a long time before you have access to this. So that should not be a barrier for you. So just to quickly read the description for this, it's fairly vague, but it is a flute that calls the Spikefish monster. We will see fairly soon the value in this because you're not going to really get it just from reading about it. So with all of that being done, we want to run up here to the peak itself where the statues are. And if you just run for a couple of seconds, you will hear boss music. And yes, this is the optional boss. His name is Lapis, if I have not already mentioned that to you. And he starts turn number 1 by summoning Lapis Wave, which sucks donkey balls because it completely strips your party of all of their mana. And as you can see, your mana is 0 out of 0. So you cannot use an item like a magic fruit to replenish your MP here. So when we're doing this the legit way, we're not going to be able to rely on any of our Rasaru. But for now, let's just focus on the exploit. So that was round 1 for Lapis. So what does round 1 look like for us? Great question, friends. So we are going to scroll down here to this Spikefish flute and use it. I don't care what you do for Gala and Noah. I'm just going to have them spirit. It doesn't matter. Vaughn has the speed chain, so he should go first, which he did. So that's great. And we will just have a quick minute to witness the Spikefish in action, or he's a blowfish. I don't know. Maybe his spell is called blowfish, but he's actually a Spikefish. I don't have those answers for you. But he gets super cranky and pissed off, which I totally get. We all have those days, no judgment here. And you can see that he does allow your team to escape from battle. So what's so fascinating about this to me is even before I had viewed Eightfold's video, I knew what the Spikefish flute did because the first couple of times I dicked around in Legend of Legaia, I experimented a lot with cool items that seemed a bit vague in what they told you they could do. And oh no, it is game over for Noah. That kind of sucks. She was not fortunate in having the opportunity to, counterattack and spare her life, but that's okay. We should be fine. But anyway, just to kind of continue that quick thought before we get into what we need to do for the exploit, I always knew what the Spikefish flute did, but I never pieced together that you could utilize it for this fight specifically. So I always did this the hard way, and as you can see right now, Lapis is no joke. He does a fuck ton of damage. So if you feel like being in the early 40s is not a good idea for you to deal with him, I would highly recommend then that you level up to at least 45 before dealing with this. But I think we can go ahead and tackle him with where we're at. We'll just kind of have to see. I feel fairly confident in my ability to deal with this. So with that being said, if you take a look down at our MP, since we re-engaged Lapis in battle here, we do have access to mana, although not initially because we do still have that 0, but it's out of an actual numerical value instead of out of 0. So what we want to do for our first turn after re-engaging is have somebody give Vaughn some mana so he can go ahead and summon someone into the fray. I'm eyebrow waggling here. So I think what I'm going to do is I might have Vaughn just go ahead and spirit, and I'm going to pray that Gala can survive an onslaught here, I'm going to have him put this magic fruit onto Vaughn. It kind of sucks that Noah died, but, you know, it just sort of is what it is. And, oh, I was hoping Lapis was going to focus Vaughn, but we were not lucky. But thanks to that Luminous Jewel, Gala was able to survive, which makes all the difference, or else we could be spending a couple of turns just dancing around this. So what we want to do now is bring our good friend Jetto to the fray. We have exactly the right amount of MP to summon him. And again, we have looked at him before when I kind of showcased our Rasaru, but just to remind you, he casts Deadly Promise, which attacks all enemies. And we will just have Gala go ahead and Spirit here. And once again, just to remind you, because Vaughn does have that speed chain equipped, he should be going before Lapis. So I think you guys already know kind of what to expect here, because this is all that you really need to do. And this was kind of the best outcome. Like I noted, there is a chance that, you know, we could have lost Gala, and then we would have had maybe 2 or 3 turns of trying to revive Gala and Noah so that we could increase the likelihood of someone getting that magic fruit onto Vaughn so that he could summon Jetto into the mix here. But it worked out just fine. So hopefully it works out okay for you when you undertake this, because once Jetto enters the battlefield, he casts that Deadly Promise and Lapis is gone. And you find yourself with a lot of XP, a lot of gold, and an evil medallion. We have a bit more than we normally would just because Noah did die, which is unfortunate. But let me quickly just show you the evil medallion, and then I will go ahead and reload, and we will attempt, fingers crossed, to tackle Lapis the legit way. I might spend a little bit of time trying to get a level on everybody, because most people should be fairly close to hitting that next level, but we'll deal with that in a second. I'll recap whatever I do off camera. But evil medallion, let's look at what the prize will be. Where could here it is. So it gives you rage, which is unpredictable behavior. We can take a look at this because, again, I know it's a bit vague. I will say that this isn't an item that I've ever used that much, but it's still something that I know some people, just for the sake of completing the game, they want to go ahead and have in tow. So just keep in mind that this is the prize. We'll look at it once we are done taking on Lapis the legit way. So just give me just a moment to reload my save to get everyone equipped with what they'll need for undertaking him in that way, which is the non-exploitative method. And yeah, we'll just kind of discuss what I think is the best strategy, and we'll go into it and pray that we can be victorious. So one moment, my friends. Okie dokie, my friends, so welcome back to method number 2 for tackling Lapis, the optional, infamous, horrific boss of Legend of Legaia. So you guys are going to have to excuse me if I do repeat myself, or there's something that I say as though I've said it before, but I didn't. So this is going to be my second attempt at showcasing Lapis the normal way. I don't know what happened, but my microphone decided to be a poopy butt and stop recording my audio in the middle of me fighting Lapis the legit way. So we're tackling this, or I'm tackling this for technically the 3rd time, because we had the exploit method, and then now this is my 2nd time trying to show you guys the legit way, but that's okay because it just has me even better prepared for what lies ahead. So as for a really quick recap as to what I had decided when I reloaded from us doing this the exploit way, I did go ahead and decide that I'm not going to raise everyone up about a level or 2 like I was telling you guys I was thinking about doing. So in the past, when I've undertaken Lapis, I've been closer to level 45 on pretty much everyone. I mean, maybe Noah was like level 44, but level 45 has kind of been my standard, especially because I do think, and I'll expound upon this in just a moment, but I do think that doing the events at the Muscle Dome prior to coming here makes more sense, because we're going to be utilizing that War God icon and basically the double damage status that it grants whomever you equip it to. So for those reasons, I usually just like to be 45-ish, because it just makes the master course easier, and then it makes everything that I'm doing here a little bit easier. But for whatever reason, I didn't idle about in the Biocastle this time. I'm just like ready, I guess, to get through all of this. So everyone is 43 or 42. We're just going to keep that going. But I do want to say that as long as everyone's around level, or not level, but around 3000 HP, I don't think the levels matter as much. Your accessories are what will really make the difference. So let's take a look at what actual accessories I have. Let's just transition into that. So let's start out with Vaughn. I went ahead and gave him the life armband, and although I think without this item, Vaughn still would have been close to 3000 HP, I wanted to give him that extra bit of cushioning and extra bit of padding, because Lapis is a bit of a dick where around this point, he'll hit you anywhere from just 2000 damage to fucking 3500 damage. So you don't really know what to expect, and there is somewhat of a wide range there with that. So I think just having everyone have that bit of, you know, HP around that 3000, even if you're doing it artificially through equipable items, you know, I think it's better than having a bunch of people around like 2800. It's just not really going to fly most of the time. So that is the justification for that. As for the warrior icon, this I 100% agree. You can kind of play with this a little bit and monkey around with different accessories. So I'm bringing the warrior icon for my second accessory on Vaughn, because occasionally RNG is on my side and Vaughn will counter attack, which is nice because it does strip Lapis of his opportunity to attack us. So basically he loses a turn and we get to keep ours. So even if that only happens one time throughout the fight itself, I think it's still worth it to have equipped, but I will give you guys some options. So option number one that I think could be valid here, you could utilize the power ring just to increase Vaughn's raw damage. I think that's, you know, totally fine and totally valid. It's an option for sure. Something that I don't like as much, but you still could argue that this is better than having the counterattack rate, is an unholy icon. I don't think Lapis blocks that much, so this isn't something that I think is worth using up a slot, but you could argue that the counterattack is not worth using up a slot, especially if you only get, you know, like one turn where it actually comes into play, or 2 turns where it comes into play. So it's kind of up to you. Something else that I think is okay, but I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not going to use it, but you could use this, the Metal Goblet, so that way you're keeping Vaughn's AP always high. So even if you don't want to be taking turns spiriting for the sake of getting that AP gauge all the way up to string together like his Miracle Art, for example, you still can guarantee that Vaughn will have enough AP to be utilizing a lot of those like super arts or some of those other arts in combination with the lower tier arts. So he should be doing a lot of damage if his AP is always at 100, in spite of the fact that you may not always be spiriting. So that I think is also valid. One of the final things that I'd kind of recommend if you're not feeling having the fixed counterattack rate is the War Soul, just because, again, this is just bringing up how much damage you're doing each time Vaughn takes a turn. So those are some options. Hopefully that helps you if you're not really digging the warrior icon. I'm going to still opt for it because I have found it useful in the past, but it's 100% up to you. So moving right along, I do have the Light Talisman on Vaughn. I already talked about this, that I think having that light guard is going to make the difference here. So I'm not going to belabor this. Instead, I'm going to hop on down to Noah. So let's just start from the bottom and work our way up for her. So her third accessory here is Mamiya's ring. Same justification as what I have with Vaughn. I wanted to give her the boost to get her closer to 3000 because she was not at that at all without this. And, you know, sentimental reasons. Why shouldn't she be sporting Mama's ring? Again, kind of like I did with the Light Talisman, I'm just going to gloss over this, that we just want that light guard because Lapis's attacks are light-based or elementally focused around the light element. So Light Guard, regardless of whether you're using the Light Talisman or the Luminous Jewels, will make this a much better time for you. And then what is most important here as her first accessory is the War God icon. Not going to repeat everything that I said just a couple of minutes ago, but this comes back to why I do think it's more important to do the Muscle Dome first, and specifically that Master Course and Master Level first, because the War God icon is going to make taking on Lapis the legit way significantly easier than if you did not have it. It gives you double damage, and there's no way you can argue that that's not amazing in and of itself, just as a tool for any fights that you go into. So whether you're using the miracle arts, you can be doing anywhere from 10,000 to 12,000 damage with Noah's miracle arts. So I guess with that being said, something that you could do if you did decide to raise everyone's levels up like a level 2, maybe 3 more than me. So like I said in the past, I was usually closer to level 45. So I may switch out this ring, so accessory number 3, which is Mamiya's ring. I think what is kind of cool is going ahead and giving Noah the War Soul so that her arts are doing more damage and she's doing it twice. So that is just like OP. I think that's an OP combination, but since I didn't opt to bring Noah to level 45, I think this is going to be a bit better because having at least 3,000 HP, you're not going to survive a lot of his attacks if you don't hover around that. That's kind of the magic mark. So finally, we'll just breeze through Gala's. I do want to quickly note that you'll probably notice already that Gala is set up more defensively and as more of a support than our former people that we just took a look at. So Vaughn and Noah are going to be more of my damage dealers, and Gala's going to end up being my primary healer. So that is why you see initially as his first accessory he has the speed chain, because I'm going to be wanting him for each round, each time it's our turn to go, him to be healing up whomever took the onslaught of Lapis's bullshit. Following that, I equipped him with the life armband because, again, I wanted Gala to be quite a bit over 3,000. I think he's like 35, maybe 3,600 right now with his HP. So that is the justification, if I could talk, for this accessory being there. If you wanted to, again, as another strategy idea or another option, you could use the defender chain. I have used this in the past, but I think this is better if you're around level 45 and Gala already has a bit of that natural cushioning in his HP just from having those levels. Since I'm not doing that and he's like level 42, I think having the HP is better than the random block chance increase. So, and then again, Luminous Jewel, not talking about it too much. He has Light Guard, it's needed. That is it for my explanation as to what I think is going to be your best bet for undertaking this. I'm just going to quickly heal everybody up. It doesn't matter if you use up all of your mana because, hey, he's going to be taking it all away, which is what we saw he did when we utilized the exploit method. So let's see if we can summon his ass into battle, and we will get this ball rolling. Like I said, I'm so sorry if I'm telling you guys something that I've already said before, or I'm speaking as though I've told you before, but I haven't said something before. I couldn't believe when I checked the video that it didn't record this. So, hey, that's why I like to, overlap and kind of alternate my saves, because you never know when something's just going to randomly become corrupt or, just not record properly in the first place. But anyway, getting off of my little salt box there. For this first turn, since Lapis took away all of our mana, I like to just use this as an initial turn for everyone to just auto attack. It's totally up to you, friends. If you want to have 2 people spirit, so like Vaughn and Noah, for example, and then Gala just be the only one attacking, that is totally fine. But I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. It's possible that Noah might die. Oh, well, he's focusing Gala anyway. So what I was going to say is, since Lapis's range is kind of so big, like right here with Gala, he did 2,400 damage. But he could have done upwards of, like 3,000 or 3,100. You just never fucking know with this guy. So if he had focused Noah, since she's right at 3,000 HP, it's possible that Lapis could have kind of killed her off there, but he didn't. So that worked out just fine for me. So even though I want to be getting that gauge up for Vaughn and Noah so that they can be executing their miracle arts, I'm going to just have them auto attack again because I want Gala to heal himself up. And I think the best way of tackling Lapis is making sure that each turn you have, you are in the position to have somebody be attacking him. So Noah could possibly die here, which wouldn't be good. But hey, she actually hung on for dear life with just a little over 100. So that's great. I love any turn where I can get damage off on this guy. And there you go, almost 6,000 damage without even utilizing those miracle arts. So again, I think if you take anything away from, you know, my explanation for what I like for accessories, I think something that, you know what, I'll have Vaughn just go ahead and auto. I'll have Noah Spirit, and I'm going to have Gala go ahead and use a Healing Berry on Noah. So actually, this might be a good time to quickly tell you that I think the Healing Berries are going to be critical here in this fight, regardless of whomever you designate as your primary healer or as your support character. If you do not have a lot of Healing Berries, and by a lot, I mean having at least 15 is going to be ideal for going into this. You saw I had 20-something, but having 15 is kind of, again, that magic number, that magic mark for this fight. If you do not have more than like 2 or 3, I would recommend when you go to Boomog, stopping by one of the shops there, you can purchase them. I believe they're like 3,000 gold per Healing Berry, which is a lot. So if you're not down with that, you can steal them through the Evil God icons from, I believe they're called giant rats. And then there are these weird ostrich things. During your trek from Booma to Mount Dinny, you will run into those monsters. I actually found, I think I fought like 3 of the rats and then 1 of the ostriches, and I stole 2 Healing Berries from them. So for me, it was about a 50% success rate. And hey, talking about success rates, we saw that come through, that warrior icon and that counterattack. Granted, it was only 1,000 damage we did to him, but what's the true victory there is that he didn't do any damage to me. So I'm going to have Vaughn yet again just attack, just to have it, you know, be a turn where he can get some damage off. And I'm going to have Noah go through her Miracle Art. And because everyone's good to go, because Lapis lost a turn, Gala's going to attack as well. So between Gala and Vaughn in this round, you know, I think combined they'll be doing a decent amount of damage. Like that's almost 2,000 from Gala. And we should see about 1,000 off Vaughn. Oh, Lapis, you better not kill Noah. I will not be pleased with you if that is the case. But it was not. So check this out, you guys. And this is why I think that War God icon on Noah is just outstanding. And I already mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. You know, if you were closer to level 45 and Noah just naturally was hovering around that 3,000 HP mark, you could put that War Soul on her and she would be doing even more damage from this Miracle Art sequence. But we're seeing her get that double attack off. And this is going to be like 10,000, if not 11,000 damage. Yeah, almost 11,000. Like 13 damage shy of that. So outstanding turn for me. And so far no one has died. So this is going super duper well. I will talk to you guys a little bit. I'll have, you know what, I'm going to have Vaughn attack again because he does have the fixed counter attack. And since his HP is at max, I think it's okay. And Gala's going to heal up Noah with that Healing Berry. Oh yeah, so in case I didn't finish that thought, you can either buy them in Booma for what I'm pretending, I can't really remember, but I think it's about 3,000 gold per berry. You can buy them there, or you can try to steal them from those giant rats or from those ostriches when you're running between Booma and Mount Dinny itself. And it shouldn't be too hard to steal from them at all. Okay, so that was good. Again, I'm just going to have Vaughn attack, and I'm going to have Noah auto as well. And Gala will go ahead and just take care of himself because I don't want him dying. So this is, again, why I think that speed chain is critical, because you want to, for the most part, have somebody healing first pretty much every single turn. Because you never know who Lapis is going to focus down. I mean, it's anybody's fucking guess. But this is already going super well. Yeah, 6,000 without even having a Miracle Art in tow. So you could even make the argument, just from what you're seeing so far, that the spiriting is not always necessary. If people are at full HP, I say just fucking go for it. Fucking go for it. You know, and if you're lucky, Lapis will focus whomever you added the fixed counterattack stuff to. So no, he's going for Noah. This could be bad. She's the only one I'm kind of concerned about, because if he does like 3,100 damage to her, it's a wrap. But he's been pretty kind, and RNG's been on my side, so we'll just kind of go through the motions for the rest of this. I honestly don't know how much HP Lapis has. Like, I have no fucking clue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Noah Spirit Yeah, I'm going to have Noah Spirit, and then I'm going to use this Healing Berry on her so that she can go ahead and just use that Miracle Art on the next turn. She already has 100 AP, but just in case Lapis decides to focus someone else, hey, and he did. He focused Vaughn, so he loses yet another turn, and we get 1,200 damage off for free. Love it, love it, love it. So that's as good as it gets, you guys. So Vaughn can just go again. And I know this seems almost too easy from what you were expecting, but genuinely, this is Lapis. And if you're not prepared and you're just undertaking this for the very first time without having anyone properly equipped, then this definitely could bring you a very, very bad time. But, you know, I think Lapis, he's scary the first time you navigate dealing with him, but after that, he's so easy that I almost feel like you could make the justification that the exploit's not necessary here, because look how low level, I wouldn't even say we're low levels, but we're not even at a recommended level, and nobody's died. Noah's come very close, so I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you try to fight him at the level I'm at right now, but if you did, as you can see, it's really okay. And if Noah dies, hey, I've got a designated healer who can utilize Phoenixes, which you should have at least a couple in tow by now. And yeah, Lapis is already falling over. And we're not even bringing out our full repertoire of sneaky bitch tricks and sneaky bitch tactics. I'll talk to you a little bit about it once this fight's actually done. I'm going to have Vaughn just go again. Noah's still full HP, so she's going to go again. Poor Gala is the one who's kind of taking the brunt of Lapis's crap, but it's fine because Vaughn's just been having a field day. I always cross my fingers when I see Lapis focusing Noah, because yeah, he's not feeling her for some reason. But it's all good in the neighborhood. Even without those miracle arts, like with the double damage, Noah's not fucking around. So this is pretty good. I honestly have no idea how much HP Lapis is rocking, but regardless of what he's got going on, I mean, it's not slowing us down. So I'm going to go ahead and heal up Noah again, just in case Lapis decides to focus her down. And she should be able to execute a miracle art on her next turn. And Lapis might die, honestly. Or Noah might die. We'll see. What is unfortunate is that if one of your party members... Oh, no, she's spirited, so she's fine. If one of your party members does die, what does honestly suck is that they will lose that charged gauge at the bottom, so you'll have to spirit again in order for them to have access to the full length of that bottom bar to execute a miracle art. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and still just use a healing berry, even though Noah might not be the focus of Lapis's attack this next turn, but I don't want to take any chances. Oh yeah, he went after Vaughn, and we got another counterattack off, so perfect. Lapis has officially lost 3 turns, so this is proven to be a successful set of equipment for Vaughn. And this is why, you know, I've acknowledged that rely on RNG is not always optimal, but sometimes, you know, it really can make the difference. And we've seen that Vaughn hasn't had to really lose a turn to Spirit. He hasn't been doing a whole bunch of damage each turn, but because Noah has that War God icon and has been able to execute a couple of her miracle arts, we haven't really missed out on Vaughn, you know, not doing his own miracle arts. And Gala's even been able to attack a little bit. Yeah, and Lapis is already gone. Like, so this fight was pretty much no big deal. Nobody died. Vaughn got a level. We got buku amounts of XP and gold. Fucking evil medallion. This is ideal, my friends. This is the perfect outcome for this fight. Everyone's almost at max HP. Yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So the final thing that I kind of wanted to state that is an option, if you, let's say, wanted to even tackle this a level or 2 lower than me. I mean, I don't know if I would recommend that because Noah would definitely die since she wouldn't be at 3,000 HP even with Manea's ring unless you stacked the HP accessories. So the same accessories will not combine or will not stack. So you couldn't have 2 life armbands on someone, but Vaughn could have a life armband and Manea's ring, for example. So for Noah, since she has Manea's ring, I guess if you wanted to, you could stack... Oh god, I would not remove the Luminous Jewel. And I really think the War God icon is good on her because she does so much damage. But you could go ahead and like put on a life armband. Oh, I guess it doesn't stack if it's the same boost. So it's based on not the name of the item, but the actual name of the, I guess, what it does, its effect. So because it gives HP boost 2, it doesn't stack. But HP boost 1 will stack with HP boost 2. So that's something you could do. But either way, the point of what I was trying to get at is if you did want to undertake this a little bit lower, and that's up to you how you want to equip people, I think something that we may not have mentioned and you might have forgotten about is that we did pick up a point card quite a while ago. And in picking up this point card, we have a nice little pool of over 30,000 points, or basically that's 30,000 bits of free damage that we can utilize against an enemy. So as I already mentioned, I have no idea how much HP Lapis has, just because, I mean, I don't think he's that hard if you tackle him around this time and with the same equipment that I've got in tow. So I've never calculated it. I've never looked it up. Like, it's whatever. If one of you wants to tell me how much he has, feel free to leave it down below. But either way, you are welcome to go ahead and use this point card here, and that will kind of lessen how long you are tussling with him in this fight. So that's another option. However, I do want to note that I like to save the point card for our final boss just to make that a little bit easier. This basically will cut the final boss's HP in half so that that fight is not as grueling. Although if you can kill Lapis, you can tackle the last boss inside of the biodome. So using that as a nice little transition, we are going to go ahead and just end things here. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and rest up somewhere. I'll probably just teleport over to Rim Elm, run back to the Hunter's Spring, get all my shit in order, run through the Bio Castle, and then I will meet you guys at the point of no return. And in our upcoming episode 122, that will be the end of our 100% item guide and walkthrough for Legend of Legaia. So we will be taking out that final boss. We'll be witnessing the end events and like the end credits and all of that, and that will be it for this Let's Play. I'm so sad, but that's okay. We still have one more video, so I'm not gonna get teary-eyed yet. So without further ado, let's part ways here, and I will meet you guys at that little ending piece of Juggernaut. I don't know if that's near his bowels or what part of his body that is, but I will meet you guys at that safe point. So I'll see you in our upcoming episode, my friends. Thank you very much for watching my 100% item guide and walkthrough for Legend of Legaia.